On April 30th, 1984, the Mercedes-taking Colombian Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla home after work was strafed with machine gun fire by the feared hitmen or sicarios of drug lord Pablo Escobar. The Medellin cartel had declared war on the state, and that war was set to motion a strange series of events that would kick-start the European cocaine trade. The killing of Lara Bonilla, one of the few politicians to defy the power of the Medellin and Cali cartels in the early 1980s, sparked a backlash from the previously cowed Colombian state. It immediately signed into law the drug lord's worst fear: extradition to the United States. Fear of capture and extradition drove an exodus of top drug traffickers to more friendly climes. Pablo Escobar fled to Panama, protected by his friend, the dictator General Manuel Noriega. Others like Medellin cartel capo Jorge Ochoa Vasquez and Cali cartel head Gilberto Rodriguez Orochea chose Spain. They lived in luxurious obscurity under false names, collecting opulent properties and high-end vehicles in Madrid, according to media reports at the time. But then in November 1984, they were both arrested and sent to the infamous Carabanchel prison. The two top Colombian traffickers, who would go on to become deadly rivals, shared the prison, not only with each other, but also with Spain's top contraband traffickers from the region of Galicia, among them the legendary smuggler Jose Ramon Prado, better known by his alias Cito Minanco. The Galicians the Colombians quickly realised were exactly what they needed to expand their business into Europe. These smugglers could provide the vehicles and safety to safely bring in anything along the long, rocky coast of Galicia. They could also offer the Colombians one of the most coveted criminal advantages: corruption networks that penetrated deep into local elites. The time they shared in prison gave birth to a criminal alliance that became central to large-scale cocaine trafficking to Europe. It also set Spain on the path to becoming the main European entry point for Colombian cocaine and the European operations base of Latin American organised crime. In contrast to the United States, where the crack explosion had democraticized cocaine use and around 6% of the population reported regular use of the drug, the European cocaine market in the early 1980s was small. But in this small market and its high prices, the Colombians saw enormous potential for growth. Furthermore, in the 1980s, the United States was beginning to ramp up its war on drugs by strengthening agencies like the Drug Enforcement Administration, developing tools such as extradition, and increasing its upstream presence. The Europeans were taking no such action. With the conditions ripe for the Colombians to exploit, the Galicians offered a secure pipeline into the heart of Europe. Galicia, with its 1,500 kilometres of coastline, crammed in between Portugal and France, has been a smuggler's paradise for centuries. In Farina, his book on the birth of the cocaine trade in Spain, journalist Nacho Carretero described how smuggling was not even a criminal offence until 1982, and how, even after this date, it was a socially accepted profession. In the 1960s, cigarette smuggling became Galicia's biggest illicit market, and by the 1980s it was a multi-million-dollar business that corrupted customs and police officers as well as local politicians. Farina documents how the first contact between the Galician smugglers and Colombian cocaine traffickers were made in Panama, where the Galicians would go to launder their tobacco smuggling profits. Together they organised some test shipments, but it was when Ochoa and Rodriguez Orochea met the Galicians in Carabanchel prison that the arrangements for large-scale cocaine smuggling to Spain took shape. To bring in the drugs, Galician fishing vessels would sail to Colombia and back, dropping off the cocaine at high sea on their return, according to Carretero. From there, go-fast boats and other small vessels would bring it into land. Both parties would keep one member of the other group hostage until the drugs were handed back to the Colombians, who then took care of the wholesale distribution to their European criminal groups, including Italian mafia organisations like the Camorra and the 'Ndrangheta. For their part, the Galicians earned 30% of the profits, according to Carretero. The impact of the new nexus forming between the Colombians, Galicians and Italians soon became apparent. Data compiled by the European Nations Office on Drugs and Crime suggests a gradual but steady increase in the size of the European market throughout the 1990s, as seizures climbed while prices fell. But Galicia was just the beginning. New routes began opening all around Spain. By the mid-2000s, the country was recording the third highest cocaine seizures in the world, according to the UNODC, and the seizures were increasingly made outside of Galicia, including Andalusia, Valencia and Barcelona, as traffickers began to use other modus operandi, especially shipping containers. The Colombians' growing European wholesale business, meanwhile, required them to set up operations on the continent. Spain, with its shared language and commercial and cultural ties, was their natural home, and as for the European market grew in importance to the Colombians, so did the Colombians' presence in Spain. By the 2000s, authorities became aware that this included not only trafficking networks, but also oficinas de cobro, or collection offices, the name given to the Colombian criminal structures dedicated to providing services to drug traffickers, above all debt collection and assassinations. One of the most notorious Colombian oficinas to operate in Spain was known as Señores de Acido, Lords of Acid, which was based in Madrid. Colombians set up the network in an effort to export to Spain the organised crime model of the Oficina de Envigado, the original Colombian oficina, which was created to collect debts for Pablo Escobar and his Medellin cartel. The Señores de Acido were directly from Colombia to Luis de Valas Jimenez, alias Pampo, a member of the Norte del Valle cartel leadership. The Oficina contract killers were involved in kidnapping, murders, debt collection and extortion. The group earned its name after dissolving in acid the headless corpse of a relative of a drug trafficker with an outstanding debt. But it was not just the foot soldiers of cocaine traffickers that set up shop in Spain. In 2006, one of Colombia's most wanted traffickers, Leonidas Vargas, was arrested in Madrid. In 2009, Vargas was freed on conditional bail due to health reasons, but he was then assassinated in his hospital bed as the Colombian cartel battles played out on Spanish soil. Since then, high-profile traffickers from some of Colombia's notorious cocaine trafficking networks, such as Eurobinos and Oficina de Envigado, have also been captured in Spain, in one case reportedly while living in the same gated community as Real Madrid soccer stars Cristiano Ronaldo and Fernando Torres. In 2019, the Spanish police stumbled upon their own white whale, which they had pursued without success for over a decade. A drug-filled semi-submersible that had crossed the Atlantic. The vessel had carried 3 tons of cocaine over 9,000 kilometres along the Amazon River and across the ocean, but the crew were forced to abandon it off the coast of Galicia after suffering mechanical problems. Spanish police sources told Insight Crime that Latin American traffickers have used semi-submersibles to move cocaine into Spain since the mid-2000s. Colombian drug lord Diego Rastrojo of the Rastrojos was a pioneer, often operating out of Venezuela, where he was finally captured in 2012. The discovery of semi-submersibles, though, offered a glimpse into a new generation of low-profile Galician traffickers that now dominate the business. The Spanish groups working with the semi-submersibles are investing in their own operation. The old guard of Galicians is still active in the cocaine trade. A network of over 30 Galicians, allegedly led by Cito Minanco, was dismantled in 2018 in the largest police operation against drug trafficking in Galicia since 1990. The crime group was linked to a 4-ton shipment aboard a tugboat seized in international waters and a 616-kilogram seizure made in a container found in Hoorn, the Netherlands, both in 2017. However, the main players in today's Spanish cocaine trade do not seek the legendary status of their predecessors, instead preferring the anonymity of a low-profile life among local elites. These traffickers are part of high society and live a normal life. Some of them send their kids to the same schools as the judges here. Their lives are not super luxurious, but they have a lot of money without drawing attention to themselves, without the fancy car. Colombian traffickers too remain deeply embedded in the Spanish cocaine trade, hiding among a diaspora that has grown from around 10,000 in 1998 to 270,000 today. The ongoing importance of Spain to their operations is reflected in the figures. 85% of Colombians convicted of drug trafficking in Europe are incarcerated in Spain. Madrid is regarded as a principal operating base. The capital's luxury hotels are used to meet associates, while reception points along the coast are easy to reach from the city. All major Colombian drug traffickers working in Europe use Spain. Many have established cells in the country, although higher-ups in the organisations only have come to oversee the final stages of trafficking deals. There are permanent low-level representatives in the country, but if we arrest a top guy from one of these groups, it is always during the last phase of a drug trafficking operation. The Colombians commonly dispatch shipments with multiple owners. Part of the load belongs to them, and they will sell that on the wholesale market. The rest belongs to other traffickers from both Europe and Latin America, who pay the Colombians to source and move their cocaine. Colombian oficinas de cobro also continue to operate, policing and protecting traffickers' interests. While some are allied with specific groups, they often work as hired guns for the highest bidders. While numerous Colombian criminal organisations use Spain, one group more than any other have caught the attention of Spanish police. We have all types of Colombian groups in Madrid, but lately we see a lot of members from Eurobinos, said Chief Commissioner Martinez. The Eurobinos sell cocaine wholesale, offer logistical services to independent traffickers, and use Spain for their money laundering operations. Today's cocaine routes are no longer concentrated in Galicia, but pass through Spain's coast islands, ports and airports all around the country. Most seizures are made on vessels or in container ports like Algeciras, Barcelona and Valencia, where an estimated 40 to 50% of all cocaine in Spain arrives. And the loads are getting bigger, as shown by the nearly 9-ton haul seized in Algeciras in 2018, a Spanish record. Furthermore, other routes have opened up, such as using the hashish trafficking lines that run from Morocco to the beaches along the Costa del Sol. The complete infrastructure, go fast and other boats for hashish is used to transport the cocaine that enters via Africa. However, Spain has now been displaced as Europe's top cocaine entry point by Belgium and its port at Antwerp, a reflection of the critical role of container shipping in trafficking today. And although year after year it has ranked in the top 3 European nations for seizures, recently there has been a sharp drop-off from a high of 50 tonnes in 2018 to just 21 tonnes in the first 10 months of 2019. Police believe this is a sign that while Spain's strategic importance continues, its importance as a trafficking route is declining. Colombian organisations use Spain as a meeting point with organisations from Serbia, Eastern Europe and Africa, but it is no longer the principal arrival point for drugs. Such international traffickers, along with other organised crime groups from the Balkans, the British Isles, the Netherlands and elsewhere, also now run their own networks in Spain. And while they may continue to work with the Colombians and the Galicians downstream in Spain, even more of these groups are also working upstream in Latin America, following the trail cut by the Colombians, other main partners from the cartel era, the Italian Mafia. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please like, share and subscribe, and please stay tuned for part 4 coming soon. Thank you.